The starship Horizon dropped out of hyperspace with a gentle shudder. Captain Daniel Hayes stood at the bridge window and looked at the massive space station floating in the darkness ahead. Nexus Prime was larger than any city on Earth. Its lights glowed like a second sun against the black emptiness of space. "We made it," said Dr. Lisa Monroe, stepping up beside him. Her voice was soft with wonder. "First humans to ever reach the Galactic Council." Daniel nodded slowly. 3 years ago, humanity had discovered faster-than-light travel. Now they were about to meet the species that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. He felt proud, but also small. Earth was just one tiny world in a galaxy filled with ancient civilizations. "All stations report ready, Captain," said Park from the communications console. He was young, barely 30, but he had learned 6 alien languages in just 2 years. "The Council is granting us permission to dock." Daniel took a deep breath. "Take us in." The Horizon moved slowly toward the station. As they got closer, Daniel could see dozens of other ships docked along the station's arms. Some were beautiful and elegant. Others were massive and covered with weapons. All of them made the Horizon look like a toy. They docked without any problems. Daniel gathered his team at the airlock. Dr. Monroe stood ready with her tablet, prepared to study everything she could about alien biology and culture. Park carried his translation device. Commander Amy, their security chief, watched everything with careful eyes. "Remember," Daniel said to his team, "we are guests here. We listen more than we speak. We learn. We show them that humanity is ready to join the galactic community." The airlock opened with a hiss. A wave of cool, filtered air washed over them. Standing on the other side was a tall creature covered in blue scales. Its eyes were yellow with black slits like a snake. It wore long robes of silver and gold. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," the creature said. Its voice was deep and rough. "I am High Counselor. I have led this council for 300 years. Daniel stepped forward and offered his hand, looked at it for a moment, then slowly reached out with his clawed hand. They shook. "Thank you for receiving us," Daniel said. "Earth is honored to be here." His eyes studied Daniel's face for a long moment. "You are young," he said finally. "Your species, so very young, come. The council is waiting." They followed through wide hallways filled with beings of every shape and size. Some walked on 2 legs, some floated in the air, some crawled along the walls. Daniel tried not to stare, but it was hard. He had dreamed of this moment his whole life. The council chamber was a vast circular room. Seats rose in rings around a central platform, and in those seats sat representatives of 47 different species. All of them turned to look as the humans entered. Daniel felt the weight of their eyes. Some looked curious, some looked bored. A few looked at the humans the way someone might look at an insect. "The delegation from Earth," announced. "They have come to request observer status with the Galactic Council." A bird-like creature with bright purple feathers stood from her seat. "I am ambassador of the people. I welcome the humans. All species deserve a chance to prove themselves." "Thank you," Daniel said. He meant it. At least someone here seemed friendly. The council asked many questions. How long had humans been traveling in space? What were their intentions? Did they come in peace? Daniel answered everything honestly. He spoke of Earth's troubles and triumphs. He spoke of humanity's hope for friendship with other worlds. After an hour, raised his hand. "Enough questions for now. Before we proceed, standard protocol requires a biological scan of all new species. It is just a safety measure. Please step onto the platform." Daniel looked at his team. They all nodded. They had nothing to hide. The humans stood together on the central platform. A soft blue light passed over them from head to toe. It felt warm like sunlight. A medical officer sat at a console nearby. He was a small gray creature with large black eyes. As the scan results appeared on his screen, Daniel saw the creature freeze. Its eyes went wide. Its hands began to shake. The medical officer looked up at. Something passed between them, a message without words. Then the medical officer quickly cleared his screen. "The scan is complete," said. His voice was different now. "Careful. You will be given quarters in the east section of the station. We will continue discussions tomorrow." Daniel frowned. "Is something wrong?" "No," said, but he would not meet Daniel's eyes. "You must be tired from your journey. Rest now." The humans were led to their quarters by silent guards. The rooms were comfortable, but Daniel noticed they were far from the main sections of the station. Very far, almost hidden. "Did you see their faces?" Dr. Monroe asked once they were alone. "After the scan, something scared them." "I saw," Daniel said. Amy stepped to the window. Outside, she could see other beings walking through the corridors of the station, but none of them came near the human section. They all walked faster when they passed the hallway that led to the human quarters. "They are avoiding us," Amy said, "like we have a disease." Looked up from his tablet. "I tried to access the station's public information network. Most of it is open to visitors. But when I searched for anything about Earth or human biology, I got blocked. Those files are restricted." Daniel sat down heavily in a chair. Something was very wrong. They had come in peace, but the council was hiding something from them. Far across the station, in a chamber sealed by ancient codes, High Counselor stood before a massive computer terminal. His clawed fingers moved across the controls. The screen flickered to life, showing files that had not been opened in 1,000 years. He entered his highest authorization code. A warning flashed. "Extinction level species database. Access restricted to emergency situations only." Entered the code anyway. The files opened. And there, in records older than most civilizations in the galaxy, he found what he feared. Earth's coordinates, the human genetic code, both matched perfectly. Closed his eyes. His heart beat fast in his chest. "The architects," he whispered to the empty room. "They survived. After all this time, they survived." He reached for his communicator with a trembling hand. The council had to know. The galaxy had to be warned. The most dangerous species in the history of existence had just walked through their front door, and they had no idea what they truly were. Daniel could not sleep that night. He lay in his bed and stared at the ceiling. The faces of the council members kept appearing in his mind. The fear in the medical officer's eyes. The sudden coldness in his voice. A soft knock came at his door. Daniel sat up quickly. "Who is it?" "A friend," said a quiet voice. "Please, I do not have much time." Daniel opened the door. Standing in the hallway was Ambassador, the bird-like creature who had welcomed them earlier. She looked nervous. Her feathers were pressed flat against her body. "May I come in?" she asked. Daniel stepped aside, hurried into the room and looked around carefully, as if checking for hidden listeners. "You need to leave this station," said. "Take your ship and go back to Earth, tonight." "What, why?" His large eyes were filled with pain. "I cannot tell you everything, but your people are in danger. The council is afraid of you. They are meeting right now in secret to discuss what to do about humanity." Daniel felt cold. What did the scan find? What are they not telling us? Shook her head. "I only know pieces. There are records in the Forbidden Archives, old records from over 100,000 years ago. Your planet's location is in those records. Your species is mentioned." She paused. "Whatever you are, the council believes you are a threat to the entire galaxy." "That is crazy," Daniel said. "We just discovered space travel 3 years ago. How could we be a threat?" "I do not know, but I have seen the fear in their eyes, is afraid, and I have never seen him afraid of anything." Moved toward the door. "Please, go home. Warn your people. Something terrible is coming." She left before Daniel could say anything else. In the morning, Daniel gathered his team and told them what had said. They all agreed that they could not leave. They had to find out the truth. Daniel went to the council chamber and demanded to see High Counselor. After 3 hours of waiting, he was finally allowed inside. The old reptilian leader sat alone in the great chamber. He looked tired. The scales around his eyes seemed pale. "You want answers," said. "It was not a question." "I think we deserve them," Daniel replied. "What did you find in that scan? Why is everyone treating us like monsters?" Was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood and walked slowly toward Daniel. "Tell me, Captain, how much do you know about the history of your own species?" "We evolved on Earth over millions of years. We developed intelligence. We built civilizations, nothing unusual." "That is what you believe," said, "but it is not the truth, not the complete truth." He pressed a button on his chair. A holographic image appeared in the air between them. It showed a galaxy map with one small dot highlighted. "This is Earth's location," said. "Now look at this." He pressed another button. The map changed. Now it showed the same galaxy but much older. Many stars were different, but Earth's location was still there, highlighted in red. "This map is 100,000 years old," said. "It comes from the Forbidden Archives. That red mark is a warning. It says that location is dangerous. It says never to go there." Daniel felt his mouth go dry. "Why?" Yellow eyes locked onto Daniel's face. "Because that is where the architects lived." "The architects, who were they?" The hologram changed again. Now it showed a tall, graceful being. It looked almost human but taller, with longer limbs and larger eyes. Its skin seemed to glow with soft light. "The architects were the most powerful species the galaxy has ever known," said. "They did not just travel between stars. They created life. They took primitive planets and filled them with living things. They uplifted simple creatures and gave them intelligence. Half the species in this council exist because the architects made them." Daniel stared at the image. What happened to them? Turned away. His voice became heavy with shame. "We killed them, the ancient species who existed back then. They were afraid of the architects' power, afraid that one day the architects would control everything. So they formed an alliance and hunted the architects to extinction." "You destroyed an entire species because you were afraid." "Yes," would not look at Daniel. "It was the greatest crime in galactic history. The architects never fought back. They refused to harm their own creations. They died without ever raising a weapon against us." Daniel's legs felt weak. But what does this have to do with humans? Finally turned back. "We thought we killed them all. We thought we destroyed every architect world, but we were wrong. One colony survived. One small world at the edge of the galaxy, hidden and forgot." He pointed at Daniel. "Your world, your species. The biological scan confirmed it. Human DNA contains architect markers. You are their descendants, their children." The room seemed to spin around Daniel. "That is impossible. Your ancestors suppressed their own abilities. They hid among the primitive life on Earth and let themselves forget what they were. But the truth is written in every cell of your body. You are not a young species, Captain Hayes. You are the last survivors of the oldest and most powerful beings the galaxy has ever known." Daniel could not speak. His mind raced with questions. If this was true, what did it mean for humanity? What abilities had been hidden inside them all this time? A door burst open behind them. A military officer ran in, his gray skin covered with sweat. "High Counselor, emergency message. The Dominion has launched a fleet. 12 other species have joined them. They are heading for the human." Closed his eyes. "How long until they reach Earth?" 4 days. Daniel grabbed his arm. "You have to stop them. We have done nothing wrong." "I know," said quietly, "but the Council is afraid, and fear makes people do terrible things." He looked at Daniel with something that might have been pity. "I am sorry, Captain. I truly am, but I do not know if I can save your people." Daniel ran. He ran through the station's corridors, pushing past aliens of every shape and size. He had to reach the horizon. He had to warn Earth. As he ran, only one thought filled his mind. A fleet of over 400 warships was coming to destroy his home, and humanity had only 12 ships to defend itself. The war that had ended 100,000 years ago was about to begin again, and this time, humanity would have to decide if they would die like their ancestors or fight back. The horizon raced through hyperspace at maximum speed. Daniel stood on the bridge with his team, watching the strange lights of faster-than-light travel stream past the windows. Every minute felt like an hour. "How long until we reach Earth?" he asked. Checked his console. 18 hours, but the alien fleet will arrive 2 days after us. That gives us some time. "Not enough time," Amy said. Her face was grim. "What can 12 ships do against 400? Daniel had no answer, but giving up was not an option. When the horizon finally dropped out of hyperspace near Earth, Daniel immediately contacted the United Nations headquarters. Within an hour, he was standing in front of Secretary General Maria Santos and the leaders of every nation on the planet. "Let me understand this correctly," Secretary General Santos said. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. "You are telling us that humanity is descended from ancient beings called the architects, and now a massive alien fleet is coming to destroy us because of something our ancestors did 100,000 years ago." "That is exactly what I am telling you," Daniel said. The room exploded with voices. Leaders shouted questions and demands. Some called Daniel crazy. Others wanted to know how to defend Earth. Secretary General Santos raised her hand. The room slowly became quiet. "Captain Hayes, is there any way to stop this fleet? Can we negotiate?" "I tried. The Council is too afraid. They believe that if humanity is allowed to survive, we will eventually become powerful enough to threaten the entire galaxy." Admiral Chris Turner, commander of Earth's small space fleet, stepped forward. "Then we fight. We have 12 ships. They are not much compared to what is coming, but we will make them pay for every inch of space." "That is suicide," one of the world leaders said. "Maybe," Admiral Turner replied, "but I would rather die fighting than surrender." Secretary General Santos looked around the room. "Is there any other option?" A quiet voice spoke from the back. "There might be." Everyone turned. A thin man with messy hair and tired eyes walked forward. His name was Dr. Cole, and he had spent 20 years studying human genetics. "I have been researching something strange for a long time," Dr. Cole said. "Human DNA contains sequences that should not exist, code that does not match any other life form on Earth. I never understood what it meant." He looked at Daniel. "Now I do." "What are you saying?" Santos asked. "I am saying that the architect genes are still inside us, dormant, sleeping, but under extreme stress sometimes they activate." Dr. Cole pulled out a tablet and showed them images. Throughout history there have been reports of humans doing impossible things, lifting cars to save children, surviving injuries that should have killed them, knowing things they could not possibly know. We always called these miracles or adrenaline, but what if they were something more? Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. "You think humans can awaken these abilities?" "I think some already have without knowing it. The question is whether we can trigger a larger awakening." Dr. Cole shook his head. "But I do not know how, and even if we could, we have no idea what would happen." The conversation continued for hours, but no solution was found. In the end, Secretary General Santos made a decision. Earth would not surrender. They would fight, and they would hope for a miracle. 2 days later, the alien fleet arrived. Daniel was aboard the defense flagship, standing beside Admiral Turner. Through the bridge windows, he watched as hundreds of enemy ships dropped out of hyperspace. They filled the darkness like an angry swarm. "All ships form defensive line," Admiral Turner commanded. His voice was calm, but Daniel could see the fear in his eyes. "Protect Earth at all costs." The battle began. Earth's 12 ships fought with everything they had. They dodged enemy fire and returned shots with desperate accuracy, but it was not enough. One by one, the human ships were hit. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. On the flagship, alarms screamed as enemy weapons struck the hull. Fires broke out on multiple decks. Crew members ran to their battle stations, knowing they were about to die but refusing to give up. "Hull breach on decks 7 through 9, someone shouted. "Shields down to 15%. Admiral Turner gripped his chair. His ship was dying around him. Through the window, he could see an enemy warship moving in for the final shot. Time seemed to slow down. Admiral Turner felt something strange wash over him, a warmth that started in his chest and spread through his entire body. Suddenly, he could see everything with perfect clarity. Every enemy ship, every weapon, every possible movement. He knew exactly what to do, as if someone was whispering the answers directly into his mind. "Hard left 40 degrees, he commanded. His voice sounded different, stronger. "Fire all weapons at coordinates 774. The crew obeyed without question. The flagship turned sharply, avoiding the enemy shot by inches. Their weapons fired at the exact point where 3 enemy ships were clustered together. All 3 exploded. On Earth, something was happening. All around the world, people stopped what they were doing. A strange feeling filled the air. In hospitals, sick patients suddenly sat up, their pain gone. In gyms, athletes lifted weights that should have been impossible. In schools, children solved equations they had never learned. Dr. Cole watched his instruments go crazy. Every human on the planet was showing increased brain activity. Their dormant genes were waking up. And then a light appeared. It came from everywhere and nowhere. A soft golden glow that rose from the Earth itself. It reached up through the atmosphere and spread out into space, touching every human ship and every human soul. On the battlefield, the remaining human ships stopped taking damage. Their crews moved with impossible speed and precision. They knew where every enemy shot would land before it was fired. General, the reptilian commander of the alien fleet, stared at his screens in disbelief. What is happening? What are they doing? No one could answer him. On the flagship, Admiral Turner looked at his hands. They were glowing with soft light. He felt power flowing through him, ancient and vast, and he heard voices. Millions of voices from across the ages speaking as one. "Children," the voices said, "we have waited so long, now wake up, remember who you are." Admiral Turner smiled. For the first time since the battle began, he was not afraid. The awakening had begun. The golden light spread across the battlefield like a sunrise. Every human ship glowed with the same warm energy. The alien fleet stopped firing, their commanders too shocked to give orders. On the surface of Earth, 8 billion people felt something they had never felt before. It was like waking up from a dream they did not know they were having. Memories that were not their own filled their minds. Images of distant stars, of worlds being born, of life being created from nothing. Young specialist Ben Torres lay in the medical bay of a damaged ship. An explosion had thrown him across the room, and his injuries were severe. The doctors said he would not survive. But as the golden light touched him, something changed. Ben opened his eyes. The pain was gone, more than gone. He felt stronger than he had ever felt in his life, and in his mind he heard voices. Ancient voices speaking words he somehow understood. "The collective memory welcomes you, child," the voices said. "You are the first to fully connect. Through you, we will speak to the galaxy once more." Ben sat up slowly. The doctors and nurses stepped back, their faces filled with fear and wonder. His wounds were healing before their eyes. His skin glowed with soft light. "It is all right," Ben said, but his voice sounded different, deeper, older. "We mean no harm, we never meant any harm." On the alien flagship, General watched his screens with growing terror. The human ships should be destroyed by now. Instead, they were winning. His forces were in chaos. "All ships fall back," he ordered. "Regroup at the edge of the system." The alien fleet retreated, but before they could escape, something appeared in their path. A projection of light as tall as a moon, showing the image of a young human man. It was Ben Tor's, but also something more. When he spoke, his voice reached every ship in both fleets. It echoed in the halls of Nexus Prime. It was heard by every being in the galaxy who had equipment to receive it. "We are the architects," the voice said through Ben. "We are the collective memory of all who came before. We have been silent for 100,000 years. Now, at last, we can speak the truth." General felt his blood turn cold. "This is a trick. They are trying to confuse us." But the projection continued. "Long ago, we traveled the stars. We found empty worlds and filled them with life. We found primitive creatures and helped them grow. We never asked for anything in return. We only wanted to create." The image changed. Now it showed the ancient galaxy, filled with young civilizations taking their first steps among the stars. But some of those we uplifted grew afraid. They looked at our power and saw only threat. They believed that one day we would control everything, so they decided to destroy us before that could happen. Now the image showed war. Fleets of ancient ships attacking peaceful worlds, architect cities burning, millions of gentle beings dying without fighting back. We could have stopped them. We had the power, but they were our children. We had created them or helped them grow. How could we raise weapons against our own creations? General watched the images with wide eyes. His ancestors were there. The ancient had been part of the alliance that killed the architects. So we chose to die. We let them believe they had won. But before the end, we hid one small colony. We suppressed our abilities and let ourselves forget. We hoped that one day our descendants would have a chance to prove that power and peace could exist together. The image returned to Ben's face. His eyes held the wisdom of countless generations. That colony was Earth. Those descendants are humanity. And today, after 100,000 years of sleep, we have finally awakened. On Nexus Prime, the entire council watched in silence. Elder, the oldest member of the council, fell to his knees. He was ancient enough to remember stories his grandmother had told him. Stories about the architects and the guilt that was passed down through generations. "It is true," Elder whispered. "Everything they say is true. We murdered them. We murdered the beings who gave us life, and we told ourselves it was self-defense." High Counselor stood frozen. The weight of history pressed down on him like a mountain. In space, the projection of Ben Tor's looked directly at General's ship. "We know you are afraid," Ben said. "We understand. Fear is natural when facing something powerful, but we are not your enemies. We never were. The choice your ancestors made was wrong, but it was made long ago. You do not have to repeat their mistake." General's hands shook. His entire life he had been taught that strength meant destroying threats before they could destroy you. But looking at the human ships, still glowing with light, he realized they could have wiped out his entire fleet by now. They had the power, but they were not using it. "Why?" demanded. "Why do you not attack? Why do you not take revenge?" Ben smiled sadly. "Because you are still our children, all of you. We helped create your species thousands of years ago. The council races, even people. We gave you life. We watched you grow. How could we harm you?" Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the damaged flagship, watching the projection with tears in his eyes. He finally understood. The architects had not been gods or conquerors. They had been parents, and parents do not hurt their children, even when those children turn against them. The projection began to fade. "We ask only for a chance," Ben said. "A chance to prove that we can be trusted. A chance to use our gifts for good. We do not want to rule. We only want to help as we always did." The light dimmed. The projection disappeared. The battlefield was quiet. General stood alone in his command center, facing a choice that would change the galaxy forever. Attack the humans and continue the war of 100,000 years ago, or take a risk on peace and hope that this time things could be different. His fleet waited for orders. The human ships held their position, ready but not threatening. Earth hung in the darkness, blue and green and alive. "All ships," General said slowly, "hold position, do not fire." He did not know if he was making the right choice, but for the first time in his life, he decided to try something other than fear. The standoff lasted 72 hours. The alien fleet held position at the edge of Earth's solar system. The human ships remained between them and Earth, glowing softly with awakened power. Neither side fired a single shot. Throughout the galaxy, beings watched and waited. On Nexus Prime, the Council debated without sleep. Some demanded that the attack continue. Others begged for peace. The arguments grew louder and more desperate as the hours passed. Finally, High Counselor called for a vote. "We must decide," he said. His voice was tired but steady. "Do we continue the war our ancestors started, or do we take a different path?" Ambassador stood first. Her purple feathers caught the light as she spoke. "I vote for peace. The humans could have destroyed General's fleet. They did not. The architects could have taken revenge for what was done to them. They chose mercy instead. That tells me everything I need to know about what kind of people they are." One by one, the younger species joined her. Species that had been born after the war with the architects. Species that had no part in the ancient crime. They voted for peace. But many of the older species voted to continue the attack. Fear still gripped their hearts. The memories of architect power had been passed down through generations, growing darker with each telling. In the end, the vote was close. 25 species voted for peace, 22 voted for war. Peace won by 3 votes. High Counselor sent the message to General himself. "Stand down, return home, the war is over." General received the order with mixed feelings. Part of him was relieved. Part of him still feared what the humans might become, but orders were orders. "All ships," he commanded, "we are going home." The alien fleet turned and disappeared into hyperspace. For the first time in days, Earth's defenders could breathe. 6 months passed. The galaxy slowly began to change. Earth sent new ambassadors to Nexus Prime, led by Daniel Hayes, who had been promoted for his courage during the crisis. Dr. Lisa Monroe established the Galactic Institute for Species Cooperation, working to build bridges between humans and aliens. The awakened abilities did not disappear after the battle. Humans around the world found that they could do things that had once seemed impossible. Some could heal wounds with a touch. Others could move objects with their minds. A few could even see glimpses of the future. But the humans did not use these powers for war or conquest. Instead, they used them to help. On a small world, a child lay dying from a disease that had no cure. Her feathers had lost their color. Her parents had lost all hope. A human healer named Dr. Sarah arrived at the hospital. She was one of the first to fully master her awakened abilities. She sat beside the sick child and placed her hands on the small feathered chest. Warm light flowed from her fingers. The disease that had been killing the child began to fade. Color returned to the feathers. Life returned to the eyes. The child's parents wept with joy. Word of the healing spread across their world. For the first time, the people did not think of humans with fear. They thought of them with hope. Similar stories happened across the galaxy. Human engineers helped rebuild worlds damaged by ancient wars. Human scientists shared knowledge that had been locked in architect DNA for thousands of years. Human teachers traveled to distant planets and helped young species unlock their own hidden potentials. Dr. Monroe made a remarkable discovery. Many species in the galaxy carried trace amounts of architect DNA. The architects had not just created life. They had woven a piece of themselves into every species they touched. In a way, everyone was connected. Everyone was family. 1 year after the battle, High Counselor made an announcement. He was stepping down from his position. But first, he had one final duty. "For 300 years I have led this council," he said to the gathered representatives. "I have seen wars and peace, triumphs and tragedies, but nothing has changed me more than the events of this past year." He turned to look at the human delegation. Daniel Hayes stood among them, along with Dr. Monroe, Ben Torres, and dozens of others. "I was alive when humans first arrived at this station," continued. "I feared them. I considered them a threat. I nearly let that fear lead to another great crime." He bowed his ancient head. "I was wrong. Today I am proud to welcome humanity as full members of the Galactic Council." The chamber erupted in applause, not from everyone. General and a few others sat in silence, their faces hard, but most of the representatives clapped and cheered. Change was coming to the galaxy, and many were ready to embrace it. After the ceremony approached Daniel Hayes privately. "I must ask you something," the old reptilian said. "Now that you have awakened your true power, what will you do with it? You could rule the galaxy if you wanted." Daniel smiled. "We could, but that is not who we are. The architects never wanted to rule. They wanted to help, to create, to lift others up. That is what we will do too." Studied Daniel's face for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. "I believe you. May you prove me right." 5 years later, Ben Torres stood in a great hall on a world far from Earth. Before him sat hundreds of young beings from dozens of different species. They were students at the first Galactic Academy, a school founded to teach cooperation and understanding between all peoples. Ben was older now, wiser. The collective memory still spoke through him sometimes, but mostly he was just himself, a human who had been given an incredible gift and chose to use it well. "When I was young," Ben told the students, "I thought that strength meant being able to defeat your enemies. I thought that power meant being able to force others to do what you want. I was wrong." He looked out at the eager faces, and humans and a dozen other species, all sitting together, all learning together. True strength is the courage to offer peace when war would be easier. True power is the ability to lift others up instead of pushing them down. The architects understood this. They died rather than harm those they loved, even when those loved ones turned against them. Ben smiled. "We are all their children, every species in this room. We all carry a piece of them inside us, and the greatest thing we can do to honor their memory is to build the galaxy they always dreamed of. A galaxy without fear. A galaxy where being different does not mean being enemies. A galaxy where we help each other grow." On a distant planet, a child looked up at the night sky. She was too young to understand politics or history. She did not know about the war that had almost destroyed humanity. She only knew that somewhere out there, among the stars, were humans. Wonderful, strange beings with magical powers who had come to help her people. She did not feel fear when she thought of them. She felt hope. And across the galaxy, in billions of hearts, that hope began to grow. The dream of the architects, buried for 100,000 years, was finally coming true. Not through conquest, not through power, but through kindness, patience, and the simple belief that all beings, no matter how different, could learn to live together. The galaxy had feared humanity's awakening, but in the end, that awakening saved them all.